To London, Jamaica, then France, the whole damn world took
Alright, well, yeah, I'll be here.
Tell 'em, baby, slow
Alright,
down.
bye.
Better represent when we come to your town. So lay back, slow down. What you represent when we come to your town. Say, getting with the business when I come from Kansas City. Hit Manila till it's Christmas out to India. Visit Puerto Rico, it's exquisite. Bring my people back to Venice. LA got the people saying, Moscow saying, people saying, Amsterdam saying, Frisco saying, Switzerland saying, Sao Paulo saying, Joburg saying, Mexico saying, Stockholm saying, Jamaica. You want that Cali shit? Girlfriend, feel whatever. You like to like it.
Oops.
We legalize it. Yes, you can join us now. We like to love it. We like to love it. We like to love it.
Breakbeat just posted something really cool. Never waste your time trying to explain who you are to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Absolutely, dude. That's it exactly. Like, if anybody has to question why I love this man so much, why, when I've had, online relationships and, like, never ever talked to the guy after. I've had online friendships, like, some of you know. I'm not going to say who. Somebody who broke my heart into a million pieces. Where was I going with that? I've had all this. People wonder why I love Breakbeat so much. That's why. Never waste your time trying to explain who you are to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. There will always be somebody out there that wants to hate you. I got tons of haters, man. Tons of them. And you know what's funny? All the people that hate me on Twitter, on Facebook, in my real life, I'm right here. You know where they are? Not a clue. A couple of years ago, right after I started Radio Free Voice, when Legacy was doing the show with me, what did I do? I went out to a radio school. I wanted to learn how to become a broadcast radio superstar because I thought, you know what? I really like this. I like this platform. I like what I can do with it. I want to learn how to do it for real. And I took the guy a couple samples of my show and I showed him some of the numbers. I showed him what I was doing. And he said to me, you know what? If you're already doing this, you don't really need to come to school. You can keep doing this. And I don't think I quite explained to him. Maybe I didn't, maybe there was a miscommunication, or maybe he thought that I was just too cool for school. I don't know. What I do know is that maybe I didn't take it the right way, but he said to me, like, you don't need to come to school for this. You're already doing it. Like, you already have a radio show. Why would you come to school and start at the bottom? And looking back, I wish that I had pursued that. I wish that I had pursued that and that I had gone to that school, because then I would have my own radio show right now on AM FM radio. Nobody's going to give me a show on radio FM. Nobody's going to give me an AM FM show. It's never going to happen. I'm like the Howard Stern of radio, female version, which is what I set out to be. What I set out to do was be the female version of Howard Stern. And let's face it, we've done the Naked Cast. We've done the Porno Cast, which is how Radio Free Porno Puppy got the name of his show. He stole it from us when we did the Porno Cast a couple of years ago. And no, I didn't actually do any porno. We just talked about sex toys and porn. We've done all kinds of shows on Radio Free Voice. He was right. I didn't really need to go to school. I've got my show, and I am. I mean, this show can get pretty raunchy, as you just heard having Sam on the show. It can get pretty down and dirty. And that's kind of the fun thing about this, is that I can do whatever I want. And I make no apologies for it, because, and one of Breakbeat's very, very, very favorite sayings, and the first time I'd ever heard it actually came from Breakbeat, is zero fucks given. That means he doesn't care. He doesn't care if you hate him. He doesn't care if you, well, he cares if I love him because he adores me. Let's face it. I'm his favorite other than Sam. But he really doesn't give a shit if you dislike him. And I took so much from that, because when I started Radio Free Voice, I was so concerned with how I was perceived and what the listeners wanted. Here's the thing. When I was doing what the listeners wanted, I was miserable and the show stank. When I was doing whatever I wanted, I was happy and the show was awesome. Huh. Funny how that works, hey? I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with my life right now. And it's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot of people. Roman Reigns, who's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, he's the cousin of The Rock, he said in a documentary not too long ago, I didn't get here by myself. And I have to remember that. I don't have millions of dollars, Mr. Reigns, and I don't have millions of Twitter followers. I don't have millions of people listening to my show. But I will one day. I didn't get where I am today by myself. There were a lot of people that inspired me, a lot of people that pushed me, a lot of people that challenged me. There were a lot of people that pissed me off. My friend Ishak yesterday did a presentation for his project, and he angered some people. They didn't like what they heard. And I congratulated him for doing that. And a lot of people might not understand why I congratulated him for doing that. But I congratulated him because the fact that he angered them, that he annoyed them, that he irritated them, means that they will go home and continue to talk about his project. They will go home and continue to talk about the fact that these killings in Surrey, BC matter. That these shooters, who are really just kids, matter. That we need to do something to inspire the youth of British Columbia and get them out of these negative lifestyles. They will go home and they will say to their families and to their children, I love you. They will go home and they will think about the fact that any one of these kids picking up a gun could be their kid. Any one of these victims getting shot could be their wife, their husband, their mother, their daughter. Sometimes you have to anger people. And I angered a lot of people when I started Radio Free Voice, and I took that as a bad thing. When I started up this time, and we had Dawn on the show the other night, we got into some conversations that I know certain people are not going to be happy with. They're not going to like that I said some of the things that I said, or that Dawn said some of the things that he said. They're not going to like the fact that I said I'd rather have the Hells Angels in town than a bunch of unknowns shooting at each other. I don't give a fuck. That's how I feel. You don't have to like it. And that's something that I got from Breakbeat Junkie. One of our favorite quotes, those of us that are, as Sam refers to us, and as we refer to ourselves, old G's, used to say a lot of the time, I don't necessarily like what you have to say, but I will defend your right to say it. It is from Voltaire. It is the absolute truth. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to like what you say or how you say it or who you say it to. But I will, 110%, defend the fact that you have the right to say it. And I'll defend it because we have this crazy little thing in this town called freedom of speech. Now, you don't have to like me. You don't have to respect me. You don't have to appreciate me or Sam or Breakbeat Junkie. Or, you know, that 19-year-old kid in buttfuck middle of nowhere. But that, however, does not give you the right to tear him apart or tear any of us apart or try to destroy our lives because you don't like us. It's Twitter, people. It's Facebook. It's not real. The internet is a nexus. It is a matrix. It is a matrix of code and wires of electricity. When you unplug that matrix and you turn it off, all of the shit on the screen disappears. It no longer matters. It has no substance. If you choose not to think about what you've just read on Twitter or Facebook, it has no substance. As a 29-year-old, as a 32-year-old, as a 40-year-old, you should be able to understand that. As a 14-year-old growing up in this time in life, in time and era, the internet is all that matters. Likes, dislikes, likes on Instagram, retweets. That is the thing that you live for. So, parents, turn off the computers. It's time. And it's okay. Your kids will not die. They will not burst into flame if you force them to go outside. They will not turn to dust and to ash if you take them to a park. If you take them hiking, they will not suffocate if you give them fresh air. If you show them this thing called nature, you remember that? We grew up with it. Chances are your kid will be a hell of a lot happier spending 2 hours outside on the side of a mountain with you than spending 7 hours staring at a computer screen watching everybody in their school tell them what a horrible person they are. I often ask parents, why do your kids not get bullied? Well, my kid doesn't have Twitter. My kid doesn't have Facebook. My kid goes to school. My kid comes home. My kid does homework. My kid eats, plays a couple video games, watches some movies, goes outside, goes and plays hockey, goes and plays whatever sport they're playing, and then goes to bed. My kid does not engage in the bullshit that is on social media. Yesterday, I heard an interesting quote from one of the guys, from Steve, who is the executive director of SFU, and he said, when it comes to creating a presentation, when it comes to presenting to a group of people, those that need it, those that show up are not the ones that need it, and that's the absolute truth. The people that need to hear this advice aren't listening to the show right now. My best friend Kelly has 2 children, neither of which get bullied. They have cell phones, but they can only ever use those cell phones in an emergency situation to call mom and dad. They don't have Twitter. They don't have Facebook. They have emails, but anytime they send an email or get an email, both mom and dad know exactly who that email came from and where it came from because it automatically gets forwarded to mom and dad's email accounts. Overkill? Maybe. Being protective? More than likely. Amazing parenting? Absolutely. You know, her kids have a great time. They play soccer, they play baseball, they play hockey. They have tons of friends. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves Kelly. Kids are at her house all the time. But her kids don't deal with bullying. Why? Because her kids are good kids. And when they are dealing with bullying, 9 times out of 10, 20 minutes later, they've made a friend out of the bully. It's up to the parents, it's up to the adults to start saying, you know what? An hour of... My mom used to turn my computer off, and she would have my brother change the password. Do you want to know how I learned how to hack? Actually, that's not true. Do you want to know how I learned how to brute force? Brute force, for those of you who don't know, is when you siphon through one password after another, after another, after another, after another. It's basically a guessing game. It's like Hangman. That's how I learned how to brute force. I didn't even know that's what I was doing until Legacy told me like 2 years ago. He's like, yeah, this is called brute force. And I'm like, oh. I used to do that. Whenever my mom would change the password, I would guess. And if I got it wrong, I'd guess again. And then I'd guess again. And then I'd guess again. And then I'd guess again. Until she stopped changing the fucking password because she couldn't figure out how I was doing it. And when she finally did figure out how I was doing it, she slapped me upside the head. So she stopped changing the password, but what she started doing was unplugging the computer monitor and taking the hard drive away. She took the whole tower away so that I couldn't be on the computer all night. It pissed me off at the time, but I look back and I realize I never had to deal with kids bullying me at school. And I sure as hell didn't have to deal with predators coming at me because my mom made sure that I was safe. She knew what website I was on. She knew who I was chatting with. She knew all about Andrew. She knew all about Barry. She still to this day, she says, how's Barry and Robin doing? Have they gotten kids yet? Are they pregnant yet? You know, she knows that the people that I talk to online are people I consider friends. And we're talking 13 years later. She still asks me how Andrew is or how Barry's doing. she still asks about Robin, Barry's wife. She asks about Breakbeat Junkie and